Right, hi everyone. Here is a drawing that I wanted to show you. This one is pretty cool, but it's not the crucial and critical one. This one here is the more important one. This is a sketch where I was planning out one of my sculptures for school, for an upcoming class. I had a few different ideas, but this one is the one I ended up going with. As you can see, it's pretty complicated. After a sketch, I moved on to making a little balsa wood model. Check that out. And you can see here from the sketch, moving into real life, it has been simplified a little bit. And then I made the real thing, which I'm wearing now. It's on my head. What do you think? I don't know how well it shows up in the video with this background, but I'm pretty happy with it. I have it attached to me with this harness that I made. Basically, the idea here is that these are, well, it can be read two different ways, okay? First of all, basically it's all focusing down in my head and then getting more and more chaotic and spread out as it goes up, right? This can be read as trying to absorb and make sense of all the chaos and information in the world and the challenges that represents, right? That can be difficult. There's just so much stuff out there and it all has to come in here. It doesn't have to, but I try. And the other way it can be read is that all the stuff going on in my head and the challenges with trying to put that out into the world in an orderly manner. Not always easy. Sometimes it comes out looking like this. And that's okay, because it comes out. But yeah, I made this out of poplar wood with dowel joinery and wood glue. It's pretty cool. It's got a little metal rod here. Did a little bit of welding there for making it so that it wouldn't spin around on the metal rod, and pretty happy with it. It's pretty stable. What do you guys think? If I want to get really crazy, I have to hang on to it. Maybe I could have done like a little strap around my chest here, but anyways, just a little update on something I've been working on at school. But let's go inside and do some drawing with the Muji pen. What do you say? Nice to see y'all.
All right, so yeah, it's a pretty cool sculpture, but I got a B on it. And a B is a pretty good grade. I think we can all agree. A lot of people will be happy to get a B. Of course, I do always shoot for an A, of course, which, you know, it's art school. Grading art is weird in the first place. But I also am not upset about getting a B for a couple of reasons. Because on the whole project, it's also graded on the presentation, because after all of the projects are finished, there's a couple days of crit where everyone in the class presents their projects. And I guess anyways, I got an A on the presentation, and then those two, the B and the A, merged and melded into an A minus. The thing is, I agree with the B grade. All right, sometimes you get a grade lower than you wanted and you're confused and you think, hey, I should have gotten a higher grade, but not in this case. I talked with my professor briefly about the grade afterwards, and I told her, I was like, hey, I just wanted to ask about this, just get some feedback, because I kind of agree with this grade, but I just wanted some feedback. And basically what she said is the things that I've been thinking anyways, in that, it turned out pretty good. but it could have been better. There were some struggles there. Like even the things that were evident in my first sketch that I worked from, that didn't really all make it into the final product. And that happens sometimes, right? You run into various constraints in this kind of environment like art school because you have, you've got deadlines and you get given an assignment. Like in this case, the assignment was to make I think it was called a body prop sculpture, which basically means that it's some kind of sculpture that had to, like your body had to lean on it, or it would lean on your body or interact with your body in some way. And we're given a bunch of examples and other artists to look at. And another thing was that it had to be made primarily out of wood. And, I'd never made a sculpture like this before, never really worked with a lot of wood before. And so, I'd never done I decided to make, a lot of these joints, the joinery out of dowels and stuff like that. So I learned a lot of cool things, but it's also that provides some difficulties when envisioning and creating your final ideas, right? When I'm sitting here drawing, there's not really a lot of interference in the way of making what I want appear on the paper, but there's so much more that gets in the way when you're trying to make something appear from your mind into 3D space when you're trying to make it with bits of wood, right? So it's totally understandable that it can be more difficult sometimes, and you fall slightly short of the mark you wanted, in this case an A, and you get a B. And I'm not upset about that because I think that if I had gotten an A on this sculpture, then, it would have felt slightly wrong, right? Because it could have been better. I don't know, maybe it was just I ran out of time or something, or I don't know how I could have done it differently. Maybe it's just one of those things where it's like you keep that in mind for the future. It's okay. Anyways, because it's just, I don't know how else to explain it. Maybe it makes sense with what you saw from the initial sketch of how it was supposed to be more coming down into one point over my head and then sprouting out into more chaoticness farther up. And it was difficult to get that to happen with the sculpture. Anyways, I don't want to ramble on about that too much, but it is an interesting new thing being in a more academic environment, where you're given an assignment and then you have to explain it. That's a whole new thing that I usually don't do with my art. I usually draw it and present it without much explanation. Sometimes I post my drawings on Instagram with no explanation at all, right? I just put it out into the world for everyone to think of whatever they want to think of it, and that's fine. But in a lot of these cases, we're encouraged to have some actual idea behind it. And I think a lot of people don't like that when they're making their art, and that's fine, because I didn't like it at first either. I'm like, why can't I just make something? Why do I have to have like a statement or a explanation behind it? Isn't art good enough just by itself? And I think, a lot of times it is. But also this has been it's a very kind of mind-expanding exercise at the same time to try to make things that expresses a specific idea. It's challenging. So it's cool. I like it. Another thing that's been challenging lately is my figure drawing class. It's hard. I've toyed around with figure drawing in the past. I've gone to little figure drawing sessions when I lived in Chicago, when I lived in Wilmington, but these were not academic. They were just put on by people. You could go pay, money each time you went. No one was ever giving any instruction. There were never any grades or critique or anything. There was just a model and you could draw. I could have drawn, literally anything and no one would have said anything. But in this case, I feel like this is the first time I've been seriously, really giving it a good go. And it's challenging. It's hard to draw a person right. Once again, it's another contrast with how my art has been for so long, where I just sit down and, I can draw anything and I can't draw it wrong, right? And that's the thing I've liked about my art for so long. And as you can see here on the paper, I'm still doing it, right? When I first said I was going to start taking classes at art school, a lot of people were like, no, Peter, you're going to lose your creativity, or something, art school's going to suck it out of you or whatever. I'm like, hey, if I stop liking it, I'm going to stop going. Just like I started going on a whim, I'll stop going on a whim. It's fine. But it's like figuring out how to draw the human figure well, looking at a person and trying to put on paper. It's like this weird puzzle to figure out. Like I think a lot of it comes down to just practice, doing it over and over again. But there's all these techniques you can learn. Basically, if you look up any like YouTube videos or get any figure drawing books, it's very interesting how there's about 1,001 different ways that people like teaching it and approaching it. But some of the ways I've been learning have been very interesting, but I keep trying, right? I've been practicing at school and I've started practicing a little bit at home, looking at some references online, because there's there's one called Croquis Cafe, I think, and they have a bunch of figure drawing reference models you can look at. And it's just, every time I finish a drawing, even in the midst of the drawing, it's annoying, right? Because I'm getting it wrong. When you're drawing a person, it's very clear. It's like we all know in our heads what a human is supposed to look like, even if we can't, say it. Actually, we usually can say it. We can be like, hey, the torso's too long, the legs look weird, the head's too big or small, right? But even though we can express it like that, for some reason, it's still not easy to just fix it with a couple of strokes of the pencil. So I don't know. It's like a weird, mysterious puzzle to figure out for me that I'm kind of slightly entranced with right now. Hopefully I get even more entranced with it, because I think it would feel good to feel confident in figure drawing, and then to be able to maybe work that into my other art, the weird non-representative stuff, this stuff I'm doing right here on the paper. What if this had, because I've drawn people before in my drawings, but I usually just embraced the wrongness of them, drawing weird lumpy figures and stuff like that, and that was fun. But I don't know. I think it could be cool, and I'm having fun with it. Yeah, so a little update from me and what I'm, working on artistically at school right now. And I hope you're all doing well. So, yeah. As always, I think there was something else I was going to say, but maybe I should start making notes or something, because I always sit down to record a commentary and then it all floods away. But this is probably enough. So, until next time, see you later. Take it easy. Have fun. Sleep well. And goodbye. All right.